Imagine seeing an ad, maybe scrolling through your social media feed. Looks, well, pretty legitimate. Sleek interface, professional promises of incredible financial returns, really fast. Say, okay, maybe I'll just dip my toe in, invest a small amount. And then surprisingly, it actually seems to work. You see daily profits showing up, those nice green numbers. What would you do next? Would you invest more? Well, today we're doing a deep dive into a fascinating but also, unfortunately, very real case of online financial fraud that happened recently in Hyderabad. This deep dive is really about understanding the anatomy of these kinds of sophisticated scams, how they manage to draw people in, often using psychology against us, and what happens when that whole illusion just shatters. We're pulling our insights directly from a recent report about a pretty significant cybercrime bust. So you get a kind of behind-the-scenes look at these digital deceptions and, the efforts to stop them.
Yeah, and our mission for you today is pretty clear. We want to really unpack the specific tactics, the subtle methods these fraudsters use. We want to help you spot those key warning signs, which sometimes are hiding in plain sight. And ultimately, the goal is to empower you with the knowledge, the understanding to protect yourself and maybe people you care about from falling for these kinds of schemes. So you'll get a clearer picture, not just of what happened here, but why it's so relevant in, well, our very digital world today,
Right.
and how they really exploit human psychology.
Okay, let's zoom in there. Let's get into the specifics of this case because it's such a textbook example, really, of how these digital traps get set. We're talking about a 62-year-old man from Hyderabad who lost just a staggering amount of money. I mean, truly life-altering. And what's kind of chilling is how innocently it all began. Just an ad he saw on Facebook, a platform millions of us use every single day, not some shady corner of the web.
Right. And what's really fascinating here is the kind of psychological journey these schemes are designed to take you on, right from that first click. Scammers are very good at using these common trusted platforms, Facebook, X, Instagram, wherever people gather online to target individuals. And they use these really enticing offers, often, frankly, too good to be true. So in this specific case, the ad promoted what looked like a legitimate trading platform. It directed the victim to a specific website link, https://infx.com.cc/accuser. They build this initial appearance of professionalism very carefully. It's all designed to, lower your guard straight away. It taps into something called anchoring bias, as setting that first positive expectation.
And it wasn't just the website, right, which maybe you'd scrutinize a bit more on its own. He was then told via WhatsApp, another platform most of us use for trusted chats, to download a dedicated app. So this multi-platform thing, moving from a social ad to a website, then a messaging app, then finally this seemingly proper application. And it really creates a kind of digital credentialing, doesn't it?
Exactly. Each step feels like another layer of proof, another reason to trust it. It gradually chips away at your skepticism.
And then the platform starts showing these daily profits. You can just imagine seeing those green numbers every day. It's a powerful push to invest more. And he did. He ended up depositing a total of Rs 2,002,070,931%, using different bank accounts.
Yeah.
That's over 2 crore rupees. Just to put it in perspective, that's what, roughly $250,000 US dollars? Just a mind-boggling sum for anyone.
It really is. And this brings up a really important question. How do those initial completely fake profits manage to hook people so effectively? How do they draw them in so deep? Well, it's a very calculated psychological play. These platforms, they usually have these incredibly convincing dashboards. They look like a real-time trading, real profit generation. But there's often no actual investment happening behind the scenes. It's pure digital theater, designed to look the part. So those initial gains, however fake they are on the screen, they serve a really crucial purpose. They build trust. They activate what psychologists call confirmation bias. The victim wants to believe they've struck gold, right? And these fake profits just keep confirming that belief.
Right.
This early sense of success, even though it's false, it creates this powerful feeling of security. And that makes it much easier for the scammers to convince people to invest larger, and then even larger sums. The victim feels smart, they feel in control, like they found this amazing secret opportunity, all while they're being led deeper and deeper into the trap. They kind of lose perspective with every fake win shown on the screen. It's quite a masterful manipulation of perception, really.
It's incredible, yeah, how they turn our own thinking against us. So, okay, fast forward. Weeks go by, it feels like guaranteed success. Then comes the moment of truth. He tries to cash out, tries to get his hands on this substantial investment, hoping to, enjoy the rewards of what he thought was smart investing. What happened then? When did the cracks start to show?
Yeah, this is almost always the critical turning point in these scams, and it's where something called the sunk cost fallacy often kicks in hard. So the victim, feeling pretty confident because of all those supposed gains, he tries to withdraw his money. But suddenly, there's a new problem, an unexpected hurdle. He's told he needs to pay more money. Specifically, they label it as taxes that need to be paid before any withdrawal can happen.
Taxes.
Right. Of course, they're not real taxes. They're almost always phantom fees, you know? Processing charges, regulatory compliance fees, anti-money laundering checks, sometimes even account reactivation fees. Anything that sounds official.
Okay.
They prey on the victim's desperation at this point. They want to get their initial money back, so they start believing that this one last payment is the key. And what's worse, the fraudsters were relentless. They didn't just say it once. They persistently, aggressively pushed him to deposit even more money to cover these so-called taxes, creating this huge pressure, this false sense of urgency.
Wow. So it's not just losing the first investment or even the bigger sums he put in later. Now he's being pressured to pay even more.
Yeah.
Just to get access to what he believes is already his money. That's like a double blow, isn't it? Just a spiral of deception.
Exactly.
So at that point, when they're demanding more money and the promises aren't being met, what makes someone keep paying? Even with the red flags must be, screaming at them. That sounds like an agonizing place to be.
Oh, it absolutely is agonizing. And it largely comes down to this escalation of commitment idea. The victim has already invested so much, not just the money, but their time, their hope, their emotions are all tied up in it. So to start paying now means admitting that all of that was for nothing. That was all a loss. And that's a really painful truth that, psychologically many people resist.
Yeah.
So they keep paying these fake taxes, clinging to the hope that this next payment will be the one that finally unlocks their funds. The fraudsters are experts at exploiting this vulnerability. They keep the victim hooked with just enough hope, just enough plausibility to stop them from cutting their losses. It really is just heartbreaking when someone finally realizes the full extent of the betrayal, how their hopes were just systematically used against them.
It sounds truly devastating. But thankfully, as you said, this isn't quite where the story ends. The Hyderabad Cybercrime Police got involved. They launched an investigation. Can you tell us a bit about the scale of that? What kind of effort goes into cracking a case like this? I imagine tracking these digital criminals isn't easy.
No, it's certainly not easy. And yeah, the cybercrime wing launched a really extensive investigation, which, shows the capabilities and the dedication involved in fighting these kinds of digital threats. One of the big challenges is often the cross-border nature of these scams. Jurisdiction, getting international cooperation, that can be tricky. And tracing the money itself, it often moves through layers of accounts, maybe in different names, sometimes even different countries. It takes meticulous digital forensics work, plus collaboration with banks, financial intelligence units. It's complex stuff.
I bet.
But this particular investigation led to some significant arrests, which is always good news. So far, they've apprehended 7 individuals connected to this specific scam. That's really a testament to the painstaking work involved. And what's even more concerning, but also shows you the bigger picture, is that the people they arrested are linked to 12 different cases across India, including 3 in Telangana itself.
12 cases, wow.
Yeah, so it shows this wasn't just a one-off incident. It's part of a much larger, interconnected criminal network. Different people playing different roles, some setting up the fake sites, others acting as money mules to move the cash around.
That's a really wide reach then, across multiple states. Suggests a pretty organized operation. Can you give us any specifics on who was arrested? How did they actually tie them into this whole thing?
Yeah.
Kind of helps to put names or roles to these complex schemes.
Absolutely. So one of the key arrests mentioned was Vineet Chadha, who's 58 years old. They found he had an IDFC bank account, and a pretty significant sum, Rs 40 lakh, had been credited into it. Details like that, finding where the money went, are often crucial leads for investigators. Following the money trail is just fundamental to unraveling these networks.
The money mules.
Exactly. People who let their bank accounts be used, sometimes knowingly, sometimes not, to transfer illicit funds. It adds layers that the police have to peel back. The investigation also carefully traced and led to the arrest of 6 other individuals, all apparently from Gujarat. And these arrests happened over several days back in July, which shows you it's an ongoing dynamic process. They apprehended Viradia Moepai Ghanshyambai on July 2nd, then Bulan Kapatu Yadav and Rohan Jagadeshpai Lambachia on July 4th, and finally Qureshi Shafanpai, Yunusbai, Mayor Kishan Kanobai, and Mayor Manish Farakpai on July 8th. These specific details, the names, the dates, they really highlight the intensive, precise work the cybercrime unit does. They're piecing together these digital breadcrumbs, often scattered far and wide, to build a solid case.
That's some impressive police work. So this whole deep dive really shows us just how complex, how sophisticated, and frankly, how widespread these criminal networks can be. They're not just, small operations hitting a few people. They seem like global enterprises sometimes. So what does all this mean for, well, for you listening, for anyone navigating the digital world every day? How can we build up a stronger personal firewall against these threats that seem to be constantly evolving?
That's the key question, isn't it? Connecting this back to the bigger picture. The cybercrime police have put out very clear, urgent warnings. Everyone needs to pay attention to those. But, we need to go beyond just the obvious basics. Yes, of course, exercise extreme caution with any online stock trading or investment scheme that promises extraordinarily high returns in a ridiculously short time. That's always a massive red flag. But for an informed audience like ours, critical thinking isn't just about spotting those really blatant red flags. It's about actively looking for disconfirming evidence, even when an opportunity feels really compelling. It's about developing a habit of digital due diligence for anything involving your money.
Okay, like what specifically?
Well, simple things. Check the website's domain registration age using a WHOIS lookup tool. Is it brand new? That's suspicious. Scrutinize company registration details. Are they actually registered with official bodies like SEBI in India or the SEC in the US? Look for genuine independent press coverage or reviews, not just those glowing testimonials they put on their own website. Remember, these fraudsters are brilliant at creating fake online presences. You have to actively look for the cracks, the inconsistencies.
Right, and it's not just Facebook ads, like in this case. The sources are clear. Scammers are using a whole range of social media platforms. Telegram, WhatsApp, X, Instagram, they're all mentioned as places these fake investment apps and websites are advertised. That makes it almost impossible to avoid seeing these offers. So what are some maybe less obvious, more subtle red flags? Things that might even fool someone who thinks they're pretty tech-savvy, beyond just the promise of huge returns.
Yeah, good question, because they are getting more sophisticated. So, beyond the high returns, look out for pressure tactics. Things disguised as limited time offers or exclusive opportunities that demand you act now. Legitimate investments rarely pressure you like that. Scrutinize the language. Look at the grammar and spelling in emails or messages claiming to be official. A real financial institution will usually have impeccable communication. Errors can be a sign of fakeness.
Good point.
Be very, very wary of any request to download an app directly from a link or a third-party source rather than through the official Google Play Store or Apple App Store. Those direct downloads can easily bypass security checks. And critically check the app permissions. When you install an investment app, what is it asking for access to? Does it really need your contacts list, your camera, your microphone? Those are often huge red flags indicating potential data harvesting or worse.
Okay, those are really practical tips.
And importantly, if you even suspect you might be a victim or you've encountered something fishy, contact the authorities immediately. Don't wait. Don't feel embarrassed. Time is often critical in these cases, both for trying to recover funds and for catching the people responsible. You can dial 1930 directly, that's the National Cybercrime Reporting Helpline number, or go online to https://cybercrime.gov.in to report it and get support. These resources are vital. Use them.
Great advice. So today we've taken a deep dive into a pretty chilling example of financial cybercrime. We've seen the sophisticated multi-layered tactics fraudsters use, often exploiting basic human psychology. And we've also seen the incredible persistent work of law enforcement trying to counter these threats. I think the key takeaway for all of us is just unwavering vigilance and a commitment to doing our own digital due diligence in this increasingly connected world.
Absolutely. And maybe just to leave you with a final thought. In this era where so much of our trust is placed online, where the lines between what's genuine and what's a carefully crafted illusion are getting blurrier all the time, how do we personally get better at telling truth from deception? Especially when the deception is specifically designed to bypass our normal rational thinking, to exploit our biases. What proactive steps can you as an individual really take to build your own strong personal firewall? It goes beyond just knowing the warning signs, right? It's really about cultivating a mindset of, let's say, informed skepticism, proactive self-protection, and just continuous learning about the digital landscape we all live in.